Thanks for subscribing to and downloading Plant Talk with your host, Fred Howard. Plant Talk is sponsored by Franklin Park Conservatory and Botanical Gardens in Columbus, Ohio, featuring exotic plant collections and displays, seasonal art and nature-based exhibitions, outdoor gardens, and a variety of educational programming. fpconservatory.org. Now, here's your host, Fred Howard.
Good morning, Ohio gardeners, and what a wonderful morning it is. Even though a little cloudy and overcast, I understand that's supposed to change. I refused to put on a coat this morning, so I put on my vest only, knowing I wouldn't have to be out very long. But that brings me to the point we're starting to get cool. If you haven't brought in your tropicals, by all means, this would be a good day to get it done. That is before 8 o'clock tonight, when your attention can turn otherwise. The beauty of this time of year is significant. I don't think we had quite the fall color overall that we have had sometimes in the past with better summer rains and etc. However, this is what I call Sugar Maple Week, or it has been the last 2 weeks, really. The sugar maples, one of them should be, well, let's just say it should be named Bonfire. Some of the natives, not the cultured types and so on, wherever they may stand, are absolutely attention grabbers. Up over a hill or down in the valley and turning right or whatever the case may be, when you see one of those, usually this time of year you see an apron of gold and rusty red to orangey red leaves on the ground, and then the tree, if the sun's out, is flaming. Wow. That makes for a very interesting time of year. And then the oaks are coming along with their kind of reddish, well, many of them with a reddish tone and so on. And then one that I caught the other day with the sun on it is a kind of a rusty burgundy. It's the oak leaf hydrangea, which we have spoken of in many ways. And it even comes with fall color. That's quite exciting. So it's been a decent fall, maybe even better yet in the next week or two.
And I don't know about you, Fred, but I did put my jacket on this morning, and it was 35 when I left my house this morning, and I went outside, and there was a little bit of that ice on the windshield.
No, I didn't see the ice in the windshield, but I did drive in some fog. Typical, let's call it, early morning fall-type circumstances. No freeze. Let's see, you said it was 35. I think mine was 36 or 7, so it just didn't happen there. However, that brings me to this business of pulling in the tropicals. Now, well, very shortly, the bulbs that are to be dug, things like gladiolus and so on, will have had their tops frosted, frozen, or maybe they have just turned brown by now. You can soon dig those and dry them down, ready for storage. So it's that time of year where a lot of things to do, but they're all fun if you look around for the color while you're doing it.
And speaking of color, 12 things still in color plus fruit.
Yes, this goes to fruit time. And it's one of those things, Mark, that is quite interesting how we had, 45 or so one time back in late May or whenever it was. That, of course, is a bumper crop of color. And now the flowers have pretty much diminished. Certain things, like our plant of the week, are in flower at this moment in time. But we turn to the brilliant reds of the let's call them the deciduous hollies, winterberry and that kind of thing. I have a bumper crop of fruit on a euonymus plant. Now, that's the family of the burning bush, but this is one of the evergreen leafed. The little fruit is, size of a cranberry. It's blonde or light tan on the outside, but when it shucks open, there's a beautiful little red fruit in it. So if you look around, there's still a lot of color out there.
And we're so glad you joined us this morning on Plant Talk. If you have a question or comment you'd like to join the conversation, 1-866-PLANT-TALK with 2 T's. That's our toll-free number. That's 1-866-752-6882. We also have several email questions that were sent in this week to planttalkradio.com. And, of course, Fred will take your questions and have his Plant of the Week coming up next. We're glad you joined us. Stick around. We're just getting started this morning on Plant Talk.
This summer at Franklin Park Conservatory and Botanical Gardens, the gardens are in full color. Welcome its tropical and native butterflies in flight in the indoor Pacific Island Water Garden. View the conservatory's bonsai collection and experience the exhibition Origami in the Garden. Find details at fpconservatory.org.
And welcome back to the program. Mark News here alongside Fred Howard, the Ohio nurseryman. And Fred, your plant of the week.
Well, the plant of the week is one that I did tick on the mention, so to speak, last week. Last week I talked about the beautyberry and its magnificent low color, sugar maple and its magnificent high color up in the tree and so on. And I think I just mentioned the witch hazel was in flower, but the leaves, which are, easily the size of a man's hand, were still beautiful yellow, but dropping. Well, they have dropped, and now you can see, and it's a really good fall for witch hazel. The flower is not particularly outstanding. It's yellowish. It's quite pleasant, but not bright, most especially in that the tree grows as an understory tree most of the time. There will be, let's just say, somewhat limited light. There will usually be gray, black, and brown bark on things around it and so on. So it enhances, or let's just say maybe it cancels out the background a little bit so that the flowers show. The flowers are a compound little creature. They grow in clusters. Their petals are probably, well, it depends on the tree, but anywhere from 3/8 minimum to 1.5 inches long. They come up and kind of fall back out of the flower itself, and probably aren't more than 1/16 of an inch wide. But there are very, very, very many of them. Almost every twig and stem has them, and right now, up against that blue spruce that's behind it, it's quite a scene. So this week, and not just a tick on the witch hazel, but a full suggestion you better have one. And there is a spring flowering type that I'm going to leave it as type, which if you want to see it flower next spring, do buy it and plant it now. You may have to hunt around. It's not a very popular plant. Nurseries and garden centers have them upon occasion, but not like the Japanese yew or the arborvitae or so on. They're not always on hand. So ask and behold when they get going well.
And let's go to the phone lines this morning. 1-866-PLANT-TALK with 2 T's is our phone number. That's 1-866-752-6882. Ron's on the line with us. Good morning, Ron.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ron. How can we help you?
I have a couple of maple trees in the backyard, which are kind enough every year to provide a beautiful blanket of gold on my grass, for which I'm forever grateful. For aesthetic reasons, exclusively for aesthetic reasons, because I certainly don't mind mowing and mulching. I'd like to leave it there and hope it would compost itself and help my lawn. Will there be any negative effects if I were not to attack this stuff this year?
Ron, if you don't get the mowing and chopping done so that they lay as, let's just say, half or more the size of a man's hand, they can coalesce, if you will, and block out light and cause water to be trapped under, and you could get into some, significant fungal diseases, either right away or snow mold in the wintertime. So I'm going to suggest that you don't have to rake and ruin your shoulders, but I would do what chopping you can do. Then you speak of the 2 trees, which can furnish a considerable blanket. Try to just judge. Right now I'm mowing at 2.5 inches tall, and you're supposed to theoretically at least chop the leaves up into something size of a dime or thereabouts. All that theory is good to practice. But if you find that that's going to stand above, that is the collection of chopped leaves, if it's going to stand above the grass, then maybe it's time to do a little blowing, raking, light raking, and so on. But up until the point of it standing taller than the grass, or collecting taller than the grass, it shouldn't be a problem. One of the large companies has actually delved into that. A couple of college kids mowing, and I've watched a movie on it. They were not distressed because they're being paid for it, but they finally got those leaves chopped up, and it was, I think, almost a 6-inch layer of fresh fallen leaves in this area that they chopped right into the grass, and no ill effect whatsoever. So,
okay.
I don't know whether.
Well, I have a compost. I do have a mower that's designed for mulching, but
okay.
I'm afraid you're telling me to put the golf clubs away for a day and mow the lawn, and not what I wanted to hear, but that's what I'll do.
Well, now here's the rest of the story. Do half today, run off with the clubs, and come back and do half tomorrow.
Oh, well, I'm 70 years old. I have about 10,000, 11,000 steps in me a day.
Okay.
Once those have been extended, it's difficult.
Well, once upon a time, I wouldn't have known what you were talking about. Now I very definitely understand and appreciate your concerns.
Okay, and I appreciate your cooperation in helping us out here. Thank
Try
you.
to get on the course at some point, though.
I will. I'll get it chopped up.
Okay.
Well, I tell you what, Fred, you know where my priorities would lie there.
Absolutely.
I'd be out there chasing that white ball around.
Exactly.
And, do the mowing next week, whatever.
I was going to say, yeah, I've known your mowing habits for years.
Yeah, you've seen my lawn, too. Anyway, our toll-free number again, 1-866-PLANT TALK with 2 T's. That's 1-866-752-6882. And we have David on the line, and we'll be getting his question in just a moment on Plant Talk. Stick around.
This summer at Franklin Park Conservatory and Botanical Gardens, the gardens are in full color. Welcome its tropical and native butterflies in flight in the indoor Pacific Island Water Garden. View the conservatory's bonsai collection and experience the exhibition Origami in the Garden. Find details at fpconservatory.org.
And back to the phone lines, and David's on with us this morning. Hi, David.
Good morning, David. David May.
He probably went to get a cup of coffee. And I understand that 100%, so we're going to give David just a second here. David, last chance?
Indeed.
Okay, looks like David is gone, but let me try it one more time. Hello, David?
There he
comes.
There
he is.
Hello.
Hello, David. How can we help you?
Oh, good. Yeah. Didn't hear a click there. Hey, I'm interested in global warming. I'm wondering if there are, like, regional planning maps to show how various sections of the country are going to be affected. For example, I'm noticing that there's, like, 80-degree heat waves in the northern Midwest, and, this is supposed to be the start of winter. And so... obviously we're going to have all sorts of invasive species. We're going to have all sorts of, inability for plants to reemerge because they've basically stayed awake all winter. So I'm wondering, are there plant maps or are there planning maps for global warming?
Well, now, I do not have a specific answer for you. I do know that the Ohio, what do I want to say?
The zones?
Yeah, the zone map is what I'm looking for. The zone map, Ohio is, it was always Zone 5 North, Zone 6 South, counting Route 40 or Route 70 across the middle of the state as the break point. Well, that was never actually accurate. Then, I'm going to say about 10 years ago, a vote was taken, which I totally disagreed with, but they put all of Ohio in Zone 6, which means it's warmer. That is, by some, and with some science involved, that's what it has been set at. Now,
and was 6 more like the equivalent of Tennessee or Louisiana or something?
Kentucky. Not quite down it. Let me help you with that. 6 is where winter will go down to -10, and the plants in that zone will handle the -10 temperature.
Right.
The Zone 5, if I'm remembering right, is where it can go down to -20.
Sure.
And the plants there can survive. However, if you take just one oak tree by species, and let's go with pin oak, it'll grow clear up south of Lake Erie, and it'll grow clear down on the Ohio River. So plants have a variation in them. Now, let me just slip off of your actual question, but I, too, am a little concerned about this global warming. I don't know the facts. I'm not a scientist, but I've been around long enough to know the snow sure seemed deeper when I was a kid, and et cetera. But I'm not at the level of concern that you might be, and that's just a matter of opinion based on observation. The plants, as I say, do not follow an absolute line of demarcation, such as Route 70 east and west. There is all kinds of variability. I'm comfortable with thinking and knowing for sure that there was a time back in the Eocene or Pliocene area, whichever it was, where Florida did not exist because the ice caps